Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Kara and I am going to be doing my birth story video. Oh, yeah. I'm in front of her where all of her clothes go. But I got a big acne right there. Looks like a thing. But so I went in. I was supposed to be getting induced at 5 o'clock. I did not get there till 5 o'clock. So I got there and they said that I needed to check in. I already signed in, but I needed to check in. And they usually have, sorry about the lighting. They usually have, that's better. They usually have you go up to a desk and sit down and then give them all your information and everything. But they didn't have that. So they gave me a piece of paper with well, no, they gave me a clipboard with a lot of pieces of papers that I had to sign and fill out, and they gave me a number that I had to call. So I called them and they said that like I'm filling things out and they're telling me what to do. So that's what happened, and my husband and I were in the waiting room from 5 o'clock till 9:10. So we were in there for about, what the heck was that? So we were in the waiting room for a long time, just sitting in there doing nothing. Thank God they had snack machines, so my husband got to like snack and everything. I got in my room and she said, she left me and I'm just standing there not knowing what to do because she didn't give me a gown or anything. I'm just standing in a room. She left the door wide open, so I'm standing in my room just looking around, waiting. So she came back in and she gave me my gown. I put it on, and then she checked me. I was at a 0, and so she called my doctor to see what he was wanting to do, trying to think which way to induce me. So the reason we were in the waiting room for so long, they said that there was an emergency C-section going on and it just started when I got there, so it'll be a while. But I don't know how that affects me because I'm just in a separate room, you know, like I don't know why it would take them so long just to get me a room. But anyways, because I was already scheduled to be induced at that time, you would think they would have my room ready, but they didn't. But anyways, I have my notes here. That's why I'm looking. So I got to my room and they told me that of course your husband can't be in there when they get you all hooked up to everything and they ask you a ton of questions, like do you feel safe in the home, how many people live there, and all that stuff. But they were like, hey, you can just go ahead and call your husband in here. It's going to be a while before we even do that. So they came in like 30 minutes later after my husband was in there and asked me all this questions and everything, and they didn't hook me up. So they didn't do the IV. They didn't put the IV on me or poke me or anything till 10:45 at night. So then they called my doctor and they decided to put Cervidil. I never had Cervidil before, so I wasn't sure how that works. They say they stick it up in you and they wait 12 hours. And during that 12 hours, they're going to keep coming in and checking on you, making sure you feel no pressure, everything's good. So that was going on. I could not feel any contractions. They said I was having some contractions, but I didn't feel any. I just didn't feel it. But I had the monitor, one of the monitors on her and then the other one on me to check the contractions and for her to check her heart rate. And she kept moving so much that they had to come in, like, she was in there almost every 15 minutes or even like 10 minutes. She would have to come and move me and then have to fix the monitor, like move it around my stomach trying to find her heart rate, her heartbeat, because she kept moving so much inside my stomach. She'd move and then she would find the heart rate, she would tighten that thing up and be like, okay, good, don't move now, and then then my daughter Aria, she would move again to the other side, so then she would have to turn me over, and it was just a whole hassle. And they never found my contractions. They said that they kind of would get one contraction that they could see, but they couldn't tell if I was having contractions or not. So they had to keep coming them constantly. Then at 11:55, they came in and finally put the Cervidil up in me. That was fun. And then they checked, oh wait, so they checked me at 9, so I got to my room. They checked me at 9 and they said I was at a 0, and that's when they called my doctor about which thing they want to do to induce me. And then I got my IV in at 10:45, and then at 11:55 they put the Cervidil inside me, well, up in me, whatever. So during that time, from 11:55, they had it in me, and I started to feel contractions, and they weren't too bad. They were just contractions, normal contractions. So like during the night I couldn't sleep because they kept coming in and having to move me around because first I was having contractions, and then I started getting back labor. I've never had back labor with either of my other 2 children, so I was like, what the heck's going on? Like, this really hurts. And then every time I was having contractions, she was so up in my stomach that she would push, like she would push 2 different ways while I was having a contraction. So it was like, it did not feel good at all. So with back labor, it like started to hurt. So during the night I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't really sleep. I was trying, but it didn't work out. At like 4 in the morning I threw up. I was having really bad heartburn, so I was eating a lot of ice chips trying to like stop it from hurting. So I was having a lot of heartburn, so around like 4:15 in the morning I threw up. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. So I felt like I had to throw up, so I was chewing ice chips, and then my husband's sleeping, you know, there wasn't a nurse in there, so all that I could do was grab the bucket of ice chips, and I threw up in that. And then I called my nurse when I was throwing up, and then she came in and she gave me like the little baggie thing. That was horrible. Ugh, I hate throwing up. I hate throwing up. So around 8:30 my doctor came in, and he just said, oh, I'm gonna check you. So he you know, shoved his fingers up in there trying to feel how dilated I was. I was only at a 2 is what he said. So I only dilated 2 centimeters from, what was it, when they checked me at 9:30 I was a 0. So at 9:30 at night till 8:30 in the morning I was not progressing really well. I usually have pretty quick labors, so he wasn't really that worried. So when he checked me, he broke my water. Didn't tell me he was breaking my water, which I'm thankful for because I would have been worried or scared or whatever. So he stuck the thing up inside me and he broke my water, but then he decided that he was going to put the monitor on her head and then a monitor inside in me so that they could check the contractions. So he's sticking, it looks like a stick that he's sticking in me, and he's sticking his hand all up in there trying to get it on her head. That hurt so bad. So being checked does not hurt me. It doesn't really hurt, you know, they shoving it up. I've already had 2 kids, I'm already, you know, so it didn't really hurt. That hurt so bad that I was like, oh my gosh, like holding on, closing my eyes, holding on to the railing of the bed because it hurt really bad. So they started the Pitocin after he left, and that was around 8:30, 8:40 in the morning, and the contractions got so bad that around like 10:20 I was like, hey, just asking, how long would it take the anesthesiologist to come in and give me the epidural? Like, is there a line, like a list, like a waiting list? Because they usually say if you're hurting, ask for epidural now, and then it'll take him about an hour to get to you. At 20, he came in and he gave me the epidural. That was really good. He just left. I mean, my husband had to step out of the room, and then they just gave me the epidural. I never have any issues with my epidural, you know, like I have like contractions during it, stuff like that, but I never had issues where my epidural didn't work. So this time the epidural, like on my upper thighs, I felt it kick in to where I wasn't feeling a lot of pain, but I could still wiggle my toes. I could still move, like pick my body up so they can move things around. I could still do that. It wasn't fully numb. So they checked me at 11:30, and the lady said I was at a 6. So at 11:30 they said I was at a 6, and then they came back and around 12:30, like lunchtime, they said I was at a 7. And the lady at my hospital, they have, I guess, like training doctors, you know how they're training you, oh, like I've never done that, can I try that type thing. Doctor came in, he came in and I was at a 4. So I wasn't progressing that much, but I was in a lot of pain still. The epidural worked, but I had like really bad back labor still, to where it wasn't fully numbing my back. So during this whole time, my baby was really high. She was really high up in my stomach to where she wasn't dropping. And since she wasn't dropping, the nurses were talking about, oh, she's probably gonna have to have a C-section. We gotta figure this out. Like, she's still not dilated enough type thing. So they were like talking about C-sections, and I've never had a C-section before, so I was like, oh my gosh, I might have to have a C-section. That just scares me. I've never had surgeries or anything like that, so it really just scared me. And they called my doctor, and he's like, oh no, she has fast labor, you know, she's fine. And they were worried around 12 o'clock, like in the afternoon, why she wasn't dropping. They were like, okay, I'm gonna come in and switch you and turn you and switch you and turn you. So after I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. After I had the epidural, I decided, okay, it is 10:20 in the morning. I have had no sleep. Let me try to take a nap. Maybe if I relax, she can drop. So I was sleeping. They kept coming in every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and moving me, shifting me, because she wasn't dropping, but every time I had a contraction, her heart rate was dropping, which that happened with all of my kids. So they kept switching me, moving the bed, shifting it down. Maybe if I sit up, she'll drop, you know, gave me the peanut ball, trying to get her to drop. And just came in, and I was like, hey, you know, I feel a lot of pressure down there. And they're like, oh, that's good. And then they left. And then I was like, no, I feel a lot of pressure. I think she's down there. I think she's like, she dropped. And they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll check you, like acting like I wasn't dilated anymore or she never dropped. So they went and they checked, and of course her head was right there, ready to come out. So a nurse, the nurse was like, oh wow, she is ready to come out. That's good. We're not going to do a C-section or anything. So then they called my doctor, was like, okay, well, you're going to have to wait 15 minutes because he's somewhere else. So don't push. So I waited 15 minutes. My doctor came in, and he's like, hey, you ready to get this over with? And I was like, yep. So he checked me. He was like, okay, let's do a practice push. Just push, see where she's at. So I pushed, and he was like, okay, well, push again, push really hard. And so I pushed 2 more times, and she was out. So it was quick, everything was good. She was born at, she was born 6 pounds, 6 ounces. They said she was 20 inches long. I went to the doctor, they said she was only 19. They usually write down 20 inches is what they say. And then she was born around 3:40 something in the afternoon. So everything worked out, no C-section, had a normal delivery. She came out perfect. We decided on the name Aria Lee, Lee after me because that's my middle name. But yeah, we ended up staying in the hospital for 3, I was supposed to be, okay, I did not tear at all, so they said that I could go home the next day. But my daughter couldn't because her bilirubin was still high, and so they had to put her under the blue light like they did my other son, Andrew. They had to do that. So we ended up staying there for 5 days instead of like 2 days. Yeah, so that was not fun. We were ready to go home. The nurses kept coming in constantly. Aria kept spitting up, throwing up a lot, like I don't know what she was throwing up, whatever it's called. She was nursing really well, but she would throw up in the middle of the night, so I got 0 sleep at all. My recovery was great. I was good to go. Like, nothing hurt down there. But they discharged me the next day. So when they discharged me, I do not get medication, and they already sent my medication to my pharmacy, which is 30 minutes away from the hospital. So we ended up I did not have any medication for 4 days after I had her. So that was fun. I was in a lot of pain. I kept having contractions because my uterus was shrinking back. So every time I would nurse her, I was like in a lot of pain. And what really helped me was taking showers. So I took like 2 showers a day when I was there because the hot water was the only thing to help me. But she spit up constantly. I had no sleep at all. Finally, we got to go home, which was very exciting. We were like, thank God. It took forever. But she's healthy. She is good. Everything is great. So I guess I will show y'all her. I'm sorry that I'm talking really fast or trying to get this a quicker video, but yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. I hope you liked it because I did. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will show you Aria now. So here is Aria. She is a month old today. I've waited a while to do this video. Here she is, Miss Cutie. Miss Cutie. Oh, she just woke up. But I'll insert some pictures. Ow! So you can, so you can actually see her better. But she looks exactly like my other boys. She's a stinking twin, right? Say hi.